because if you plan it, the future expansion will be less expensive than if you fail to plan for it. Then also in this design, we have planned that the infrastructure, like the size of the kitchen, the size of the laundry, the size of the utilities coming into the building, will all be sized to accommodate that potential future expansion. So again, in the future, all you're doing is adding these beds. All the rest of the infrastructure is already there. Now, a little bit of the design concept. Again, what we're trying to do is design a facility that the county can afford to operate. And one of the challenges that the commissioners gave us is whatever design you come up with, regardless of the capacity, we cannot increase our staff. We want to maintain the existing level of staffing and existing level of operating budget. So to do that, it's a function of coming up with a more efficient design. So what we came up with, or what we proposed for the county, is an elevated control room in the center of the building where you can observe all the cell fronts from one point, all of the day rooms, all of the indoor recreation, outdoor recreation, all of the activity of those inmates can be viewed from one point by basically one person, and cameras are used to record activity. It's not used to observe or monitor all those blind spots you can't see like in your existing facility. Also, we propose to use industrialized building systems. Things like the opportunity to use pre-engineered steel buildings or precast concrete wall panels. Prefabricated steel cells is one thing we do a lot. Designing a building has a very simple geometry, less corners, less hallways and things, and designs things that are off-the-shelf components like the electronics. Things are not proprietary. If something goes down, you can order a part, get it very quickly and fix it. But this is, these are some of the modular cells we're proposing. These are steel modular cells. They're set in place by a crane. This is the interior of a cell. I believe this is from Kalamazoo County. This is a 4-person cell that just comes to the site like this, everything except the bunks. So the cells are built so that the bunks, the toilets, the windows, the door, the lock, the frame, the light fixture, everything is already constructed and they're set in place on site. This is an example of another jail project we did where it shows you the elevated control room. We actually modularized it too. The control room was 10 feet above the floor, but all the hallway space underneath was already built, and this was shipped in 4 pieces to the job site. Precast concrete and prefab steel wall panels are also economical ways to construct jail facilities. The double envelope design, as Bud mentioned, is maintenance. What we do is the double envelope means that this wall here on the right is the exterior wall of the building, and this wall here is the back wall of the cell. And in between, there's a 4-foot wide corridor that goes all the way around the building, like a donut. And the advantage here is maintenance. You make maintenance easy here. If you make maintenance easy, it will happen. So you have an exterior wall that the jail can look like anything. Most of you know, you drive in any town, you can tell what the jail is because all those small little slit windows and so forth. Well, on double envelope design, the exterior wall doesn't necessarily have to be a secure perimeter because the back wall of the cells is the secure perimeter. And then all your ductwork, your piping, your electrical needs and everything is in this perimeter chase that runs all the way around the perimeter of the building. So maintenance staff can do all the maintenance for the cells without having to go into the cell block. You don't have to lock down all the prisoners, don't have to go in there and work. You don't have to remember to take all your tools back out before you let the prisoners back out of their cells and so forth. So this makes maintenance a lot easier to happen. Again, here's another photograph of, that's part of that modular control room that's being constructed. Again, this is the typical modular cells. We also propose that we put a shower in every cell. The standards say that you have to have a shower for every 8 inmates. We've actually demonstrated on previous projects it's cheaper to put a shower in every cell, actually put more showers in a building than the standards require, because every toilet or every cell already has a toilet in it. When you have a toilet, you have hot water and cold water. You have a drain, you have a light fixture, you have supply air, exhaust air, return air, all of that's already in the cell because the toilet exists. So it makes sense to put the shower in the same location where for all these utilities already exist, as opposed to putting them out in the day rooms like most people. You have to extend all those utilities out to the day rooms. But again, the cells come with the window and the toilet and the bunks and the shower and the light fixture, everything prepared at the factory. And then these are built of steel, and the coating you see on here, it's not paint. It's what it's called a polyurea coating. Many of you might be familiar with rhino lining, truck bed liners. That's what this cell is coated with on the interior. So there's no cracks, no crevices. It can be easily hosed down or power washed out. There's no cracks and crevices for diseases and germs and things like that to fester within the cell. So it's more sanitary, more secure, and safer. Now this is a 3D view of what that housing pod looks like. The center here is this control room. It's again elevated about 10 feet above the floor, and from this control room, this person controls all the doors, the lights, the intercoms, monitors the cameras and so forth there in the building. From one point, there's 360-degree view. So in this pod, you can see there's multiple cell blocks of various sizes. So in females, for instance, you have 6 females, you put them in a cell block of 8 or 10, 12 cells. If you have 24 females, you put them in a cell block of 24 or 30 beds. So because there's sight and sound separation between each of these classifications, you can maximize the efficiency of your jail by putting the appropriate level of inmates in the appropriate size housing pod. Then also there's indoor and outdoor recreation area within the pod. So we're moving prisoners from this pod across the hallway into the cell block, so into the recreation area. Very little movement, and all of that movement is observed by the staff. That is very efficient. It allows the staff to do their job as efficiently as possible. And then you can see the corridor, the plumbing chase, the perimeter chase that runs all the way around the perimeter that allows ease of access for maintenance. And again, this is a rendered view of what a cell block like that would look like. It's a tiered cell block, so there's cells on the bottom, there's cells on a mezzanine level. The mezzanine level is enclosed in a security screen so inmates don't get pushed over or jump or anything like that. But it's excellent visibility, and unless you build a new jail, you cannot achieve this kind of design. The linear facility that you have now, this is not possible. The prison facility, it's not possible. So that is the advantage of a housing pod like this. Will pay dividends for the long term over many years of operation.
So we spent about 40 minutes of your time telling you the facts behind the jail. We'll take your questions now. Thank you for keeping your questions until now. Some of you have indicated that you wanted to hear the presentation but had to leave. So we'll take your questions. We want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to get to ask a question if you can. So we'll move if you have a question.